Welcome to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 as we take a look at the business side of the tournament, the brackets. Clippers in Washington for the right to face the LA Lakers coming up on Thursday at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Alongside Fran Fraschilla, I'm Alvaro Martin. George Sedano will join us. Well, the Clippers had a haul. They had two picks essentially in the lottery, and they chose well, starting with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
who might have been the best player on Kentucky last year, which says something when you look at the way Kevin Knox has played in the Las Vegas Summer League. A big guard out of Canada who had a terrific season for John Calipari, picking up right where he leaves off here in the Sin City. Excellent defender, ability to score over size, because he's got that kind of size. He's got a 7'1" wingspan, and he's also a playmaker, Alvaro.
And it's incredible. He is averaging 5 rebounds per game, 20 points per game, and you mentioned the wingspan. That's going to be great. A lot of great point guards now with the Clippers, but he's not the only player on this team. Let's take a look at George Sedano, who will tell us about Devontae Robinson. George.
Alvaro, thank you. Yeah, Jerome Robinson, of course, from Boston College, the other draft pick that the Clippers had in the lottery. Now, he sat out Sunday, had an issue with his knee, was wrapped, but did play on Monday against the Rockets and had a pretty good game. 14 points, nailed a couple of three-pointers in that particular game. And he's played well with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 39 points combined between the two, but it'll be interesting to see if Robinson can play more off the ball with Shai handling. That's something he's not as familiar with when he was at Boston College.
Thank you, George. He may not be familiar, but it may be better for him now. Washington has a really, really good, promising player as well in Troy Brown.
Absolutely, and he grew up right here in Las Vegas, 1 year at Oregon, but a really good playmaking wing. The knock on him coming in as an NBA player was the outside shooting, but it looks like he's improved that, Alvaro, and you'll love his ability to score around the basket as well, and you'll be impressed with his passing also.
43% from the floor. He has only made 1 of 10 threes so far. As we look at the bottom side of the bracket, all 30 teams are in. They're still alive. And if you went 0-3 in the first 3 games, it doesn't really matter as we look at the starting lineup.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Florida Gators, Devin Robinson and Chris Chiozza. They've played together before. Devin Robinson trying to make this Wizards team really athletic. At 6'7", he can really defend.
And a couple of teammates are on the Clippers side. Desi Rodriguez and Angel Delgado starting today. Rodriguez had started a game. This is Delgado's first start, and he'll be tipping off at center against Harrison. As we see Chiozza, who's now leading this tournament with, listen to this, 9 assists per game.
Good D by Delgado right there. Outstanding player in the Big East.
A quick shot up, and it's no good by Desi. As now we see Shai at the top of the key.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's what he can do. And remember the new experimental rule here. It's a FIBA rule on the offensive rebound. The clock only resets to 14. I really think that speeds the game up.
It does, but the question that I have, does it hurt the offense?
No, because you coach that in practice, Alvaro. You coach that offensive rebound, kick out for the 3, or get into a quick set.
I love the fact that Gilgeous-Alexander tends to stay in the middle axis of right down the middle part of the backcourt.
That's like deja vu right there. His ability to get to the lane. Hey, by the way, he made that layup on the wrong foot, which is something you have to be able to do in the NBA, and trying to eliminate those shot blockers.
Nice shot by Devin Robinson, a two-way player.
Yeah, he's been up and down, a G League kind of guy, but he's got that length. He's really improved since his days at Florida under Billy Donovan.
3 years at Florida.
Yep.
Attacking the middle. And look at that shot. Well, that wasn't there much at Seton Hall.
Well, he didn't have to do that at Seton Hall, but if you want to be a big man in the NBA, you better learn to play away from the basket.
Let me ask you a question about that, Fran, because it's not even a pet peeve. It's just a structural thing about the NCAA. He's got to play a role at Seton Hall for that team to work and for that team to win. But are they doing him a disservice by not asking him to do the kind of things he's going to do here?
No, I don't think so, Alvaro, because in the NBA, there's 30 stars. The other 450 guys are role players also. So he needs to play to his strengths, and we both know his strengths really are still around the basket with his electric rebounding.
He himself also got a two-way. We'll see a turnover by Chiozza.
You know, I've had friends coach in the NBA Summer League as assistants. It's really important that whether you have an NBA point guard or not, that you have a point guard that can run your system in the Summer League. You mentioned Chiozza, 9 assists a game. I don't know if he's going to make this roster because they're deep in the backcourt, but you can't find out about your other players unless you have a quality point guard running the show.
Nice pass inside, and Delgado knows what to do with it.
And honestly, that's where he's going to butter his bread because he really is effective around the basket.
Gilgeous-Alexander averaging only 2 assists per game. We see another turnover, and that's very unusual. Or should I say, the third turnover for Chiozza. Averages 3 assists per turnover at the college level. But he's playing with a very new team, new players. The Clippers are up by 9.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by State Farm, here to help life go right. And the DQ Summer Blizzard menu for a limited time at participating locations.
Clippers with the lead and the ball.
That's nice.
A cut by Delgado and a beautiful block. Unbelievable block by Devin Robinson. Good hands.
He's one of the most athletic players in the Summer League, and if he improves some of that offensive skill level, you can see that he's a guy that could be a defensive specialist.
Sometimes you try to put your hand into the cupboard and you get slapped. You get fouled. You get a foul from it.
Troy Brown Jr. is having a terrific week of basketball. The Wizards have to be excited about him.
I like the way he doesn't rush himself as Gilgeous-Alexander misses. He tends to set the tempo. Things are going to be running at his speed and his decision making.
And I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plays the same way, Alvaro. You know, they both play it at the speed they want to play it.
Reggie Upshaw making a second start. Now remember, we talked about unfamiliarity. Nice drive by Robinson. When you come here, typically these teams have 3-4 days of practice. Some of the players come in late, so they're not even there. Some of them are nursing injuries or coming in late. Maybe they didn't even practice. So it's always going to be a little haphazard. So when you see certain teams execute plays, or for example, keep their spacing, I think it's tremendous to see that.
Well, and what you do in practice is that's a product of the kind of players you have out here. Do they have the IQ ability, basketball-wise, to pick up NBA concepts? Because they don't have the full training camp. So you want to see that from players, not just the physical, but the mental.
Upshaw trying to find the angle. He does. I don't know how. Thomas Bryant was all over. Bryant, of course, signed in July earlier this month by again another errant pass. I think teammates are thinking for each other.
And Thomas Bryant's got to not be frustrated a little bit with his teammates right there. Young man who played last year, partly for the Lakers, partly for their G League team. They renounced his rights, and the Wizards picked him up pretty quickly. Young man out of Indiana.
First team G Leaguer. First team with the G League team for the Lakers.
He got in 15 games for the Lakers.
Robinson draws the contact, gets the foul. The Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on NBA TV and the ESPN app. Sacramento will face Cleveland, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, Indiana, and then at night, Golden State against Charlotte.
Tell you who's really impressed me, and I'm not surprised, Wendell Carter Jr. for the Chicago Bulls. He's had a terrific week. I know teams, scouts are talking about him. When you look at what Chicago's doing with Lauri Markkanen, right, at one forward spot, Wendell Carter, who can play the center spot. You got Robin Lopez there, young backcourt, and Dunn and Zach LaVine. You got to be really excited if you're a Chicago Bull fan because you got the foundation up front with those two young guys.
But you know what's the best thing Chicago has? I think it's its fan base.
Pizza? I thought you were going to say
no.
deep dish pizza.
I mean, that's a separate conversation. It may take all day, but their fan base. When the Bulls were not anywhere near playoff caliber, when they didn't even look like they were moving up, the fans showed up at the arena.
It's a product of incredible tradition there.
You cannot do that in other major cities. You cannot do that. Chicago's got that going for it.
I'll tell you who else has it going for it with two young big guys as well is Orlando. They draw well.
That's a shove by Gilgeous-Alexander, offensive foul, as he pushed off Yusuf Sanon, the Ukrainian second-round pick by the Washington Wizards, 18 years old, played at Petro Olympia in Slovenia.
He's a kid that I saw at the NBA Global Camp in early June. The camp, the same people that run the Summer League, Warren Gary and Albert Hall, also now run the Global Camp, and he was impressive, Yusuf. You mentioned how young he is.
He also didn't waste his time. He came to the States and got himself a haircut. Offensive foul by Upshaw. Moving screen.
Usually a screen. It's an illegal screen. The mistake is usually on the guard and not the big guy, because the guard does not use the screen until he knows the big man is set. That's pick and roll 101 right there.
Bryant cut to the basket. That was a risky pass, but it was rewarded by a bucket.
One thing I've noticed from Devin Robinson this week, and I watched him a lot at Florida, is he's starting to look like an NBA player. You say, what do you mean? Well, it's not just the athleticism, it's just his feel on the court. And we saw a great example right there.
As he gets a little closer, grabs the offensive board, and finishes. The bench gets up.
Desi had a terrific career for Seton Hall, as did Angel Delgado. He brought Seton Hall back into prominence.
Tough shot. And there's Sindarius Thornwell, who did not start today for the first time in the Summer League. Beautiful pass inside. Another assist by Gilgeous-Alexander.
Boy, he put that ball right where it needed to be. He had to bounce it. Couldn't be an air pass. And that's good IQ hoops right there.
T1 Kenley with a shot. 2 years at Morgan State. And as we see another drive right down the middle. He did not have to pay the toll.
No. I'll tell you what now, this is why he's been so impressive, as I think he fouls on purpose right there so he can get a break. But let's take a look at basketball IQ right here, Alvaro. Devin Robinson, former Gator, drops that dime into Thomas Bryant, and of course Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Been impressive here in Las Vegas. Maybe a rising star.
The Clippers are rolling up 15, up with a 12-4 run over the Wizards. This is the first game. This is morning in Vegas. Remember, in Vegas, time shifts. There's something about the city where time shifts. So 1 p.m., that's morning.
They don't want you to have a watch or a clock in Vegas.
Upshaw with the left hand. Nice move.
Nicely done. Nice dump off by Winbush, young man from Fairmont State.
You can basically not check into your room at a hotel before 3 p.m.
I know.
That's when the music starts at the pool, friend. Of course, you know that very well. As we see the drive to the basket by Alan Herndon. And that music goes on till about 3 in the morning. Upshaw again. He's fouled.
And Reggie Upshaw, the former Middle Tennessee State Blue Raider. A couple of years ago, the Blue Raiders knocked off Michigan State in the NCAA tournament. I think that was a 2-15 upset. And Reggie spent last year in the German league, BBL.
With Tübingen.
Yes. A team that unfortunately went 1-32.
But I'm sure he had a lot to do with that one.
Yeah, he did, because he played well over there.
There are your coaches. For the Clippers is Ryan Richmond.
Well, see that gentleman right there, Casey Hill?
Casey Hill.
Casey Hill is the son of former NBA head coach Bob Hill. He's got a brother, Cam, who's coaching the women at Trinity University in San Antonio. And his oldest brother, Chris Hill, is the coach at Jesuit High School in Dallas, a place that produced most recently Jordan Spieth.
And Casey already led a team to a championship as a coach. That was the Santa Cruz Warriors a couple of years ago.
Yep.
2 minutes to go. The other part that's interesting is he worked under Bob with the Tokyo Apache.
He did. Yep. They coach Jeremy Tyler over there, who had a cup of coffee in the NBA.
Hanson driving in, finding Upshaw. Ball's kept alive again.
Remember Jeremy Tyler was the
Yes.
kid from San Diego that didn't go to college.
Ended up in Israel.
Yeah.
Came back. Gifted kid. Sanon driving, thought he had an opening. Oh, what a pass outside. And a bucket. Sanon with the assist.
It's an interesting story, Isuf. He started last season in the Ukraine and then Olympia, which you know has a great tradition in Slovenia. They bought his contract out. His agent told me during the season that no matter how he played, he was going to stay in the draft. And he did. And again, as you mentioned, Alvaro, one of the youngest kids here.
His dad is from Burkina Faso. It's an African country. He was studying in the Ukraine, met his mom. And the rest, as they say, is history. He also starred at the Eurobasket under-18 European Championships, 19.6 boards.
Yes, that's where he really made his mark, was last summer. You're exactly right. And that put him on the European radar. And I got a feeling he's going to spend a lot of time with that new Washington Wizards G League team, which is going to be right there in the
Capital Go-Go.
Yeah, in the district. They got a new arena.
Are you familiar with go-go music?
Unfortunately, yes. That's my era.
I love go-go music. And by the way, the logo of the team has a conga. Oh, a block by Thornwell, of course. Frank Martin worked on him. That's a defender. That's South Carolina, and we see immediately Sanon with the hustle, fighting it over with Evans. Jump ball.
There's the shot block right there. Now, that's not a surprise because Sindarius Thornwell, who played in the Final Four for Frank Martin, he got a chance to start probably a quarter of last season for the Clippers. And when you guard KD and LeBron and Westbrook, no offense to Troy Brown Jr., I think he can handle that matchup.
He and Jerome Evans, both great contributors here in the summer, but also great contributors last year in emergency situations.
Absolutely. They got a chance to play a lot of injuries, the trades.
Doc Rivers had some high praise saying we couldn't get through our season without those two.
Listen, I love that Clippers backcourt this year, right? You think about adding a healthy Pat Beverly, Lou Williams, Avery Bradley. These two young guards.
Bradley just re-signed. Of course, they have a new center, one of your favorite players.
Marcin Gortat.
The Hammer.
Yeah, from Poland. He's had a very good NBA run. First time I saw Marcin was in 2004 at the Reebok Big Man Camp. We had it in Treviso, Italy. It was run by Donnie Nelson and Kiki Vanderway and Pete Philo, one of my former players. That's become the European Combine now, the European version of Chicago. And Marcin Gortat won the dunk contest. And we did a different type of dunk contest. You ready for this? It was who could dunk from the longest spot out on the floor.
So
it wasn't style.
Artistry didn't matter.
Artistry did not matter. He jumped from outside the foul line and won that first dunk contest.
Well, Sanon will try to give him a run as well as we end the first quarter. The Clippers lead the Wizards by 16. Doubling up on the Wizards, and for more on another Clipper acquisition, let's go to George Sedano.
Thanks, Alvaro. The Clippers signed Mike Scott, veteran forward, this offseason to a one-year deal. Mike's always been a big fan of Doc Rivers, and the 6'8 forward has been a great player off the bench for a number of teams, including the Wizards this past season. But he gets to reunite with a former teammate with the Clippers, Lou Williams, and Mike played for 2 seasons when Mike was with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, it's a great point, George. Mike Scott's one of those guys that can give you 24 minutes a night. One thing I like about him, aside from his toughness, is he can make shots from the perimeter. And one of those guys, we talked about this earlier, Alvaro, I'm really big on this. In a league with only 25 stars, you have to have great role players. You have to have great second unit guys. And Mike Scott's one of those guys that's going to be in the league for a while because he does all those little things that coach likes.
Including having to guard other positions when they switch out?
Absolutely. No question about it. Former Virginia Cavalier. These guys, you know, the guys like the P.J. Tuckers and the Mike Scotts, they stay in the league a long time because they're guys that coaches trust.
6 turnovers for the Wizards as Sanon is offline. It's cost him 8 points. Nice drive and the foul by Sindarius Thornwell. We take a look at Mike.
There you see Mike, and remember, Sindarius Thornwell is one of those guys in the summer league that played a lot last year, and I call him the playground bully here in Las Vegas because unlike some of these rookies who are experienced this league for the first time, guys like him and Josh Hart have been here, they've done it, they've played in the league, and they come to summer league to be leaders. They also come to summer league to say, hey, let me show you how good I've gotten in 1 year.
Well, they're leaders too, but when you see them here, they're doing the kind of things that typically don't do with a big club.
They get a chance to expand their role.
Yes.
And how else can you expand your role with the big club without doing it right here?
Yes.
Right?
And you mentioned 2 guys particularly who are extremely good at it, both in LA. Hart was leading the Lakers on the floor in that game against the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very good game for the Lakers.
Let me tell you something. LeBron James is going to love Josh Hart because, number one, he competes. He plays within the team. And he's also become a very good shooter. And you don't have to be a good shooter to do that right there.
If you're Jalen Johnson and you can slam it down like that.
Yep.
3 years at Louisville. Played for the Windy City Bulls as well.
That former Louisville Cardinal, Jalen Johnson. He's trying to work on his perimeter game to become a stretch big. But if he does this, goes to the rim and attacks like this, it's a good sign right there. Another one of those guys that's got, as you mentioned, G League experience and is just trying to find a crack in the door to play in this NBA.
Sanon saw an opening. Chiosa drives and found the angle. Tough shot.
Much like Juwan Evans a year ago, Chiosa trying to prove that he can play in this league. Free agent.
Double team. They look for the rebound. There's a foul underneath. I think the foul is going to be on Chiosa.
Again, we saw the effort by Jalen Johnson on the glass that time. He's only 21 years old. And, you know, I say this now, and this is a compliment. What we watch in the Summer League is like the AA All-Star game in baseball. Lots of really interesting prospects, future stars, and then some guys maybe you haven't heard that much about or you forgot about them that are just trying to find their way into the NBA. And Jalen Johnson's one of those guys.
And, you know, he's got an interesting background. If he needs to know anything about basketball and pro basketball, all he has to do is talk to Mom Janetta. She played at Wisconsin. It's the first lady to lead both the men and women strictly in points scored in the nation. As we see Sanon getting a technical right now.
That's his first personal, 4th team foul.
Isuf, we mentioned his age. And when I've watched him play, and we had him, I mentioned, at the NBA Global Camp, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He takes every mistake he makes personally, and that's just a process. Think about it. He could be a high school senior next year.
Number 2, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
And in some prep schools, he could be a high school junior.
Incredible. So, by the way, Janetta played 4 years in Portugal as well.
Oh, wow.
So,
did she play for Porto? Where did she play?
Don't know.
Okay. I had a very good player that played in Porto for a long time.
Such a beautiful city.
Yes.
Long range shot by Bryant, no good. Now, he made 36% of his threes last year in the G League. Something that he's trying to add to the repertoire. Tough shot there by Hunter. Bodies on the floor.
Nice.
Oh, what a pass. And the dunk by Bryant. Oh.
If you're going to be a big man in the NBA, you must run the floor. You may have some other skills, but it's imperative you run the floor at both ends. And you saw Thomas Bryant get that one because he got out there in transition.
Contact and a foul by Bryant.
Yeah, this is a great pass by Chris Gioza, but Thomas Bryant is going to run the floor with his head up. And there you see the finish. Former Indiana Hoosier, played for Tom Crean. You remember Tom Crean gave him a chance to work on some of that perimeter stuff. We talked about it earlier with Angel Delgado. And I think that Thomas Bryant's going to play in the league. I think he's going to have to be a guy that can play inside and out, George.
Well, you know, it's interesting, guys. John Wall spoke at the end of the season and said that they needed bigs who were more athletic, certainly. And, you know, Thomas Bryant certainly fits that mold. And a guy that they just added in Dwight Howard, even at this accelerated age, fits that mold, too. So it'll be interesting to see how they work some of their bigs into their game.
Yeah, that comment went around Washington a lot. Obviously, it was perceived to be a dig at Gortat. Got Ian Miami, of course, playing there as well. But the comment was, we need more athletic big men. A block by Gioza.
You know, and for all the negatives that you hear about, and obviously Dwight Howard's had a near Hall of Fame career, right? He's had an amazing, really good career. But you think about the people, he gets traded, and is he a good teammate? The guy usually plays close to 80 games a season. He's always on the court. And then last year he averaged, I think it was 16 and 11.
Yeah, but the thing is, Fran, you get a lot of this stuff about him being a bad teammate. You know, Zach Lowe had a story about how in Atlanta, when the guys found out that Dwight was traded, that there was like an eruption in the locker room. So, and in Charlotte, you talk to people, and I've talked to some people while I've been here, they don't necessarily miss him there either, right?
I know. You know, what we learn in the NBA is sometimes when you're trying to say hello, it's time to say goodbye. And you hope that Dwight would figure out that this is a great opportunity for him.
Well, it's funny you say that. We had him on the jump maybe like a couple of weeks ago. He stopped by to do the show with myself and Rachel Nichols. And, you know, Dwight, I think, has come to the realization because of all the trades and the teams he's been on that maybe he's made some mistakes. And hopefully at this stage of his career, he understands that.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about evolving as a person and as a player. I mean, I still hear Carmelo Anthony say that, discuss the notion, when the discussion of bringing him into this team or that team, is he going to accept his role as a reserve? Yeah. And I'm like, why wouldn't he?
Well, it's not as easy as you would think for a superstar.
I don't know, Frank.
No, I mean, now listen, if you're going to get paid $28 million to be a role player, maybe you check your ego at the door. But Alvaro, I think there are guys that have been in this league who have been stars who cannot handle not being stars.
Well, then their careers are going to be short. They're going to be shortened.
It's going to be shortened, but it's going to be after he makes $350 million.
No question.
You know, and my point is, not everybody is got the DNA to be a role player. And we try to tell college guys this all the time. When you get to the NBA, if you're not LeBron or KD or Russell Westbrook or Steph Curry or the other 20 superstars, your best way to stay in the league is to do something really well. Be low maintenance, don't be a jerk, and do your job, and you can have a great career. Not every superstar can make that adjustment.
I hear you. I understand that. I remember Allen Iverson. I think his career could have gone further if he had simply changed slightly. Not even that much, slightly.
Yep.
I remember how he waved off picks because he kind of took them almost as a personal insult. But we keep talking about this. It's a 20-point Clipper lead.
Good conversation.
Oh, yes. On ESPN2, it's Nets Rockets, then Pistons Timberwolves. And to cap off the day, it's Raptors Nuggets at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. All games will be streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. This 12-day tournament-style format culminates with the championship game next Tuesday at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN.
You know what the best thing about being here is, if you can't watch on ESPN?
We have a player on the ground, but he got up and he seems to be okay.
Yeah, Reggie Upshaw hit the ground hard, but what you love about Summer League is all the families that get to come here and hang out all day. Prices are reasonable. Get a good hotel room in Vegas.
It is the best NBA value you'll get.
Absolutely. All you can eat at Golden Corral, places like that.
Great defense there by Bryant. And
That's your guy.
Yeah,
He doesn't need the jump shot.
But what impressed me the most is the rebounding.
Yes.
If you look at rebounding per 40 minutes, per unit of time, he's at the very top of the Summer League. That is, of course, his outstanding skill. Bryant, if he can then turn some of those offensive boards into quick, easy points.
You're right. Absolutely. And if he can make the outside shot, it only adds to the game. No doubt about it. But you love Angel Delgado because he's always been a good rebounder.
Vince Hunter thought he was fouled on that drive to the basket in which he fell precipitously. He's a little hurt, and there's a timeout. Vince Hunter went airborne. We needed an air traffic controller here at Coxville, but on the land, ouch.
Yeah, what happened was the defender got caught up in the back of his foot. I don't think he did it on purpose, but Vince took a little bit exception to it with the officials.
Trenny did reach for his left knee, and I'm sure George at some point will give us the update. Reggie Upshaw with a tough shot at the end of the shot clock. As Hunter is now in the locker room, being tended to. What a change. He hit that ball, he snuck it in front of the defender. Beautiful shot by Devin Robinson.
You know, his junior year at Florida, he only averaged 11 points a game, and outside shooting was a major issue, but he keeps getting better.
Well, you want to talk about outside shooting in this game? Both teams are 2 of 17. That's a little bit over 10%.
Yeah.
Coming into this game, the Clippers, as a team, shoot 24% from behind the arc. How about Washington? 18%.
One thing I've noticed about Summer League, the difference between Summer League guys and NBA players is shot making. You cannot be a perimeter player in this league right now.
Thank you.
Unless you can do what this professional scorer did at Boston College, where he dropped 46 against Notre Dame. But you have to be a shot maker if you're going to be a guard.
You know what surprised me about Jerome and also Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is that we both knew that Jerry West really thought very highly of him and was hoping to land them way before the draft.
Yeah, no
It was not even a secret.
Well, Jerry has become the special advisor to the Clippers after having that same role in Golden State. He's, of course, sitting courtside right now.
Speaking to Lawrence Frank, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
President of basketball operations for the Clippers.
Here's a little piece of trivia for you, and I mentioned this before the game, but Jerome Robinson's high school teammate was Kansas's Devontae Graham, who's now playing with the Charlotte Hornets, signed a 3-year deal. They both played at Raleigh Broughton High School in the shadows of NC State and were not recruited by the Wolfpack, and they're both going to be in the NBA this year.
I think that Graham, I think he played very well here, and I think he's going to a team that needs him. It's going to be great. Of course, they've got Kemba Walker on the last year of his deal. Nice adjustment by Upshaw. And there's our friend Angel doing his damage.
You like when a guy plays with a smile, too. Of course, we've seen Angel's temper on occasion.
He is from Haina, which is southwest of Santo Domingo. Haina produces people like Angel, tough guys. They don't ask for any breaks, no excuses. He just gets the job done. By the way, going back to Graham, they've got Tony Parker now backing up Kemba.
Yes. And, you know, Devontae Graham, every team in this league has 3 point guards. It's like the NFL when you have 3 quarterbacks, right? Devontae Graham is going to learn the NBA game from 2 excellent players. One is a Hall of Famer, I think, in Tony Parker.
Do you remember the ancient era back in the 90s and the 80s?
Unfortunately, yes.
In the NBA, where the third point guard typically was a 30-year-old guy who would only play if people got hurt. But you always wanted to have the old veteran to nurse the team through a patch.
That's right. Absolutely.
It's sort of reversed.
Yes. And let me tell you something. When you got a guy like this making jump shots with that athleticism and the fact that he plays with a high motor, that is a great sign for Devin Robinson, who, as we mentioned, played a lot of G League basketball a season ago.
And according to John Wall, a team that can't get enough wins, as we see a foul. And after the drive by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the foul, precisely, it's on Robinson.
Watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. This is a great point you made early. He knows how to control his speed. He doesn't have great speed, so he's like a pitcher in baseball that throws at different speeds. And he keeps you off balance because he's very crafty with that ability to get into the lane.
But that's supposed to be a 30-year-old.
Yeah. I know this guy, Devin Robinson, he only played 13 minutes of NBA basketball last year. So
they've got Otto Porter Jr., they've got Kelly Oubre, and now they need a third guy at least for that group. He's got 14 points and 5 boards. Down to the last minute 20 of the first half.
I remember Devin Robinson in high school. He was not really a top 100 player until midway through the summer before his senior year. That was an air ball, but that looked good coming off of Jerome Robinson's hands. And that's what I love, Alvaro. You know, I spent a lot of my year in college basketball. One of the things I love about the NBA, whether it's during the season or summer league, is watch the progress of guys. You know, it doesn't always happen overnight. You know, Draymond Green came here in 2012 and averaged about 6 points a game. He shot 28% from the field. And in 2014, Glenn Rice Jr. was the MVP of the Summer League. And so, you know, careers are made here, but they often happen at different rates.
And sometimes it takes someone to help you through and give you confidence or just work you out.
That's correct.
And some of these players never get that. So it's a little bit of luck.
Yeah, no, it's luck. It's putting the work in. And it's a great lifestyle if you can make this league, and that's a nice play by Reggie Upshaw, the former Blue Raider.
And the moving pocket pass, that was a telephone booth pass, if there was one. Brown from the corner.
Hold on a second. You and I are the only guys in here that know what a telephone booth is.
That is true.
You know, these young guys know nothing about telephone.
Well, look it up. That's why they have cell phones. Nice fake. Upshaw falls for it. And I think we've got 3 shots.
Now, you made a great point here. This is a pocket pass. Watch this. Right there off one hand. You know, you love Reggie Upshaw as a big guy. He had his eyes on the ball. Didn't know if it was coming, but when it was coming, he was ready to finish.
That's like throwing a sack potato between a moving truck and a moving truck. That degree of difficulty.
We're going to pull out a lot of analogies here today, I can tell.
Robinson with the free throw.
This young man's out of Richmond, Virginia.
And he played with the Westchester Knicks. 44 games, 13 points, 5 boards, and 38% from behind the arc. And by the way, 80% from the free throw. We just jinxed him. But nice pump fake. Upshaw fell for it. 3 shots.
Well, coming into the NBA, the biggest indicator of whether a guy can shoot threes is oftentimes free throw shooting. So 80% is a good sign for him.
As we get a timeout. It's still an 18-point Clipper lead. 23 seconds to go to end the half.
Boxing legend Manny Pacquiao is back. The sport's history-making 8th Division World Champion returns to the ring, and it's only on ESPN+. Power-punching belt holder Lucas Matisse is the target. As Pac-Man goes for his 60th career win, it's Manny Pacquiao's return, live from Malaysia on ESPN+, part of your ESPN app, Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Love the fact that it's on ESPN Plus. You can also catch it streaming live on the ESPN app, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Matisse is going to have to deal with a basketball junkie, the owner of a basketball team in the Philippines, and at a time, a player owner.
It means he played a lot.
Literally.
It means he got a lot of time because he knew the owner.
Block and the putback.
Another good play by Devin Robinson, who is trying to show this Washington Wizards brass that there's got to be room for on that roster. And you love the second effort right here. The quick jump. Didn't count that bucket, so he'll get to the line. But certainly he's a kid all week long for me watching here. Very impressive because, again, NBA athleticism, size, the ability to defend, and you're also seeing that improved outside shooting we talked about.
6'8", 201. As we look at his production today. And now there's a little confusion. I think Casey Hillwood did not call a timeout, but he did officially, as far as the officials are concerned. Up next over on ESPN2, it's Nets Rockets, then Pistons Timberwolves. At the cap off the day, it's Raptors Nuggets at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. All games streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. This 12-day tournament-style format culminates with the championship game next Tuesday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern on ESPN. We saw Ernie Grunfeld, the GM. Now we see Scott Brooks, the head coach of the Washington Wizards. And we talk about the East, and when you talk about teams that can now contend and aspire to the finals, Washington's not the first team that comes to mind, but it should be on that list.
Without a doubt.
No doubt.
Because you've got an experienced backcourt, obviously. Otto Porter is a very solid player. And then we mentioned Dwight Howard earlier, a guy that has obviously been a productive player in this league. But they do have to get through Philly, Boston, obviously Toronto, an improving Milwaukee team with the Greek Freak.
And they had to shoot a little ragged at the end, but the time was running out, so that is the end of the first half. It is a 16-point Clipper lead, 50-34 over the summer Washington Wizards.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Carmel M&M's. We're making Carmel fun. And One a Day with Nature's Medley.
The Pop-A-Shot is as popular as can be. Fran Fraschilla, Alvaro Martin with you. We've seen some great games today, but we've seen some great individual performances by a couple of draft picks.
A couple guys look like they're playing Pop-A-Shot, by the way. And one of them is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Kentucky first-round pick. Both of these guys were lottery picks, went right after each other. What you love about this kid is watch the pace he plays at. It's always at his speed. When he has to speed it up, he will. Drops a nice pass inside. And just as impressive as he's been all week. And, of course, Jerome Robinson, now healthy. He was drafted because of this right here, that Pop-A-Shot ability to make shots from both outside. He gets to the rim, and double figures for both of them. Pretty good.
Yeah, each of them with 10 points. How about the other Robinson on the Washington side?
Well, Devin Robinson, you know, it's everybody's got their story at the Summer League. Some guys are high picks. Some guys are just trying to make it. This guy played 13 minutes all last season in the NBA, but only 23 years old. The former Gator has made his presence felt, not only today, Alvaro, but all week here in Las Vegas. He's got the athleticism, the defensive ability, showing us a lot of offense.
As we take a look also at Vince Hunter, takes the feed for the alley-oop, and the fall was so high. He got a little hurt. And for more in this condition, let's go to George Sedano. George.
Thanks, Alvaro. Yeah, Vincent Hunter will be out for this game. He's got a bruised left knee. Again, will not return in this contest. Back to you.
Thank you very much. 5.5 minutes, no points, had a rebound. By the way, speaking of Devin Robinson, it's not just that he scored 17 points. He's done that with only 7 shots.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you play, if you want to be in this league and play with guys like Bradley Beal and John Wall, you're not getting 17 shots a game like you did in college. You got to maximize your opportunities and also do the little things that Scott Brooks wants to see on the defensive end.
There is some discussion on a rules discrepancy. I'm not exactly certain the nature of that discussion.
Hey, by the way, speaking of rules,
I think it concerns team fouls.
Okay. They're going to keep the rules at 10. Okay, so let's explain this. We thought going into the playoffs that in the preliminary games, 10 fouls per player. Playoffs, we were told 6 fouls per player, like in the NBA season, but it's going to be 10. You foul out at 10. Okay, so Thon Maker actually once did that.
Yes.
He once fouled out with 10, the Milwaukee Buck. So they're going to allow the guys to play, and you foul out with 10 fouls.
Interesting thing. Aaron Harrison has the most fouls in this game with 3.
He picked up 3 early.
Yep.
Picked up 2 on the layup line.
Upshaw. also with 10 points for the Clippers.
Good set play coming out of the timeout. You drawn up, and that's what you want to see. Can your rookies execute a set play? We call that an ATO, an after timeout play.
And increasingly, coaches are being evaluated by that.
Yeah, it's good. These young coaches are also here trying to prove themselves.
Gilza drives, the ball's out of his hands, but it's off the Clippers.
I'll tell you a great story of Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks. When he coached the Knicks Summer League team, it was really important for him to have a good point guard. We talked about it earlier so that he could show everybody that he was a good coach. And for many of those years, Rick Brunson, father of Jalen Brunson, was the Knicks Summer League point guard because he trusted him to run the team. Oh, that's nice. Oh.
That ball, I think, was partially blocked.
He gets to the rim, Gilgeous-Alexander, effortlessly. And that guy, Robinson, shoots that three effortlessly, which is why if you're Doc Rivers and Steve Ballmer and Lawrence Frank right now, you got to be excited about those two young guards, and particularly because they're not going to have to do it all this year. They're not going to start. I doubt either one of those players early in the year will start.
Jerome is 3 for 4 from behind the arc.
Loose ball foul.
Foul on Brown, I believe.
We talked to Lawrence Frank, the president of the Clippers, before the game, and they expect Avery Bradley and Patrick Beverly to be the veterans in that backcourt. You've got Lou Williams, who's a terrific NBA player. So these two rookie guards are going to have great mentors in Los Angeles.
And did you see the comment that Lou Williams made after getting the award for Sixth Man? Basically, it's exactly the opposite of the discussion we had in the first half about your role in the team. Your role in the team is what your team needs. Your role is what your teammates ask of you. Your role is what the coach asks for you to do in a team.
Doug Collins says it best, the great basketball philosopher. Know your role, stay in your role, and star in your role. And the guys that can star in their role stay in this league a long time. That's why I have a question about some guys who are stars who have to become role players.
This is second personal, second team foul.
You don't expect that to be the case with Dwight necessarily.
I'm sorry?
Dwight Howard.
No, because I think what his role has always been to be the rebounder, the shot blocker, the screener, the run to the rim guy. By the way, we're being told now that it is 6 personal fouls and an ejection, as you see Issouf Sanon, and 10 team fouls. And so that was the discrepancy. We got that straightened out. But I'm going to go on record and say
we always had it right.
we did have it right,
yes,
until they tried to confuse us
yes,
at the scorer's table.
Brown is 2 of 8 so far. Scuffling a bit on offense, contact and a foul by Philip Scrub. Scrub is one of those point guards that went to Carleton College.
It's a great program.
Ottawa, right? I believe.
Yeah, and Dave Smart's the coach there. And every August, American college teams go up to Canada and play that foreign tour.
Just so you know, John Wooden is the Dave Smart of the U.S.
That's a good way to put it. Dave Smart would like you saying that, by the way. But you know what? They give a lot of those. They have beaten many very good high-level teams on those summer tours. And Dave is also a member of the Canadian national team coaching staff with Jay Triano and Roy Rana.
And now Jay being the senior assistant for JB, James Borrego, in Charlotte. Chiozza, no good. Going back to Scrub for a second. While he was in Charleston, 4 years?
5 years.
5 years.
He played 5 years in Canada.
His combined record was 103 wins and 2 losses.
You know what impresses me about him? He shot 48% from 3. Yeah, Phil is playing overseas, and he's always around the summer league. And he's got a brother, Thomas, who's a good player as well.
He plays for the National League, the national team as well. He had the difficult assignment of being in Mexico City in 2015 when they had 9 NBA players out of their 12. And they faced a buzzsaw in Venezuela, and they didn't make the Olympics. And then they had to go to an Olympic qualifier and didn't make it there either.
How about if I tell you that I was impressed with Jose Vargas, that outstanding Bulldog. Oh! Speaking of Bulldogs!
Devin Robinson from the baseline. Now, how can you be 6'8" and not be seen?
Let me tell you something. This is my favorite part of the NBA. This kid has been grinding away. He didn't have a great career.
Oh, what a move. But no bucket.
Look at Devin Robinson's effort. Honestly, he did not have the career people thought he would have at Florida. And he left a lot on the table, but these kids develop at different rates.
Desi Rodriguez, full speed. And he's fouled by Bryant.
Devin Robinson, former Florida Gator. Everybody in the summer has a story. This kid is killing himself to make a roster. You know what? It's working.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Carmel M&M's. We're making Carmel fun.
Houston Rockets are waiting. Coming up next over on ESPN2, Nets Rockets, Pistons T-Wolves, and to cap off the day, Raptors Nuggets at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. All games will be streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere.
You know who's made my Who's He team so far? A guy that's come out of nowhere this week is DeAnthony Melton, who high school star in Southern California, played last year for USC, second-round pick of the Rockets, and the guard, 6'4" guard, has been really impressive. He can play both spots. He's shooting it. He's defending. And speak of the devil, he's getting ready to play the next game.
Here's also a Florida product. Ty Kenley with the move. He draws a foul.
Ty Kenley is the guy that no one has ever heard of, unless you are a MEAC fan. But he averaged 26 points a game this year. New York City kid who went to JUCO route and
ended up 2 years at Morgan State. 26 points this past season. 75% from the free throw line. He's got size.
Yeah, he plays with a good motor. A guy like him has got two choices. He's going to either be in the G League on that new, what's that, Capital Go-Go's.
I'm excited.
You got a lot of European scouts that come to the Summer League, and they're going to look at a guy like him, maybe offer him a little bit more money than in the G League.
That's the 27th, if I believe I'm correct, 27th G League franchise. I think Portland, Denver, New Orleans don't have one yet, although I think there's one in the offing for the Pelicans as well. And it's just a matter of time. The NBA franchises without G League teams can assign their young players to any other team. The problem is that that team typically runs the parent team.
That's right.
Format and playbook. And so it's a little harder for you to take your player and put him in a foreign situation. Although typically there's some arrangement that, hey, you're going to work my guy out. We're working on these things with him, so if you could please do that for me.
Exactly, and more so than ever before, the G League is now the AAA affiliate. Nice finish.
Oh, what a finish.
Right there.
Ty Kenley.
Yep, by the aforementioned Kenley. And really now, there's no, half of the first-round picks in this draft will play in the G League, at least half. So it's no longer the stigma of, hey, I'm playing minor league basketball.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, look at the Clippers last year with Thornwell and Evans. I asked our friends at ESPN Sports Information Group for a specific stat, which I knew was very hard to get, and so they're working on it. It's not going to be ready by this tournament. Think of the share of minutes played in the NBA by players on minimum contracts, whether it's a veteran minimum or a rookie minimum, or 10-day contracts, or two-ways, or Exhibit 10s, whatever you want to call them.
Yes.
That share, my gut tells me, is going up.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. To your point, there's more second-round picks playing in the league. There's more undrafted guys playing in the league.
They're concentrating money and payroll into a few figures that are going to win you the championship, so you need to have these pieces, and if they come with a lower price tag, then you're doing your job.
And they're developing, to your point, in the G League, getting minutes to play before they help the big guys, the big club.
Yusuf with a bad pass with 3 seconds on the possession.
Nice.
Upshaw with a feed by Gilgeous-Alexander.
Gilgeous-Alexander, he's not a step slow. He's not. But he's just 2 steps ahead. I don't want to say he's a step slow, but he's two steps ahead. he sees everything before it happens. I think he traveled there.
He did. That would be his second turnover. He's got 5 assists.
He's thinking he put the ball down, and that's what Casey Hill is saying. He said he let go of the ball before he moved his pivot foot. And Shea is telling the guy, hey, that's my move, man.
You mean that wasn't a gather?
Yeah. Now, we don't have that in college, so the gather, don't get me started now. You're going to confuse me, Alvaro.
We had that pass. Remember that pass for the dunk by Bryant?
Yes.
Where he took the ball and he never dribbled. There were 3 steps. Is that catching the pass a gather as well?
Don't put me on the spot. I know this is a great learning experience for everybody in this gym, the players, the coaches, the officials, young officials out here.
No, I mean, I had never seen that, really, where you're in a fast break, they feed you in such a way, you have to turn to get the ball. No time to put it down.
Number 47, Jalen Johnson.
You see Shea from the Toronto area. Canada producing so many good young players that are coming to the States.
You know, they won that under-17 World Championship in Egypt.
Under 19.
Under 19. The U.S. just put the lumber in Argentina against the Canadian team. The Canadians basically are saying they need revenge from that loss in Egypt. So the 2 times they've met since, it's been like 70-point games.
USA team. The USA team under Don Showalter, the junior team, just annihilated the competition from the best around the world.
They ended up beating France in the final.
By about 50.
Yeah.
And more and more of these, I credit the NBA and David Stern, Adam Silver, Jerry Colangelo, of course, Coach K.
Tremendous move by Kenley.
You know what's happened with the youth basketball in America? It's as good as ever. Forget the nonsense about, changing much of the system. Alvaro, think about this. When Coach K and Jerry Colangelo took over, and you love international basketball like me, right? You and I both know that USA was not acquitting themselves well. And the fact is now, because of those guys, it's more important to play USA basketball than ever, and it's the NBA guys who started it. Kudos.
Clippers enjoying a 28-point lead, but does Jerry West ever enjoy watching a game his team is involved? Let's send it over to George Sedano.
Thanks, Alvaro. Guys, Jerry West is a consultant for the Clippers. You see Lawrence Frank there, their general manager. They've done a really interesting job of clearing cap space for 2019, where there could be up to 14 all-star players available for them. So they've become a real player in 2019 and what could be the best free agent offseason we've ever had. Right now, as it speaks, they have $53.5 million in cap space for that year, and they can even create more room potentially because Avery Bradley, who they just signed this year, only has a $1.5 million guarantee on his $12.5 million salary. So they can be closer to $70 million potentially in 2019, which could get them 2 max-level free agents when you're talking about guys like Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of guys available for them to potentially add in 2019.
Hey, George, let me ask you, you know that market as well as anybody. The Clippers are still considered by some people who don't know better as the little sister in L.A., but I got to think that money talks, and especially when you have someone with the reputation of Jerry West helping Lawrence Frank and Doc Rivers and Steve Ballmer run that franchise.
Oh, there's no question about that. But look, to Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka's credit as well, they've also created a ton of flexibility for themselves, too. If you look at the guys that they've signed this year, the Rajon Rondos and the Lance Stevensons of the world, those guys are all on one-year deals. Really, outside of LeBron and company, they don't have a ton of guys that are under contract. I mean, Luol Deng is someone that they'll probably stretch at some point. So at the moment, the Lakers have $30 million, and if they stretch Deng and kind of make some other moves in the, as I like to call it, do some cap gymnastics, they could potentially get at least one other max player, maybe even more potentially, depending on what kind of gymnastics they can do with the cap. So LA's primed to land at least a couple of free agents in the 2019 offseason.
And George and Fran, although it's not going to make a tremendous amount of difference in some of the decision making, these free agents will have to exercise. I mean, it's money and then location is important, but all of a sudden, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson become assets, then the thinking is, oh, wait a minute. The guy making decisions doesn't miss.
Doesn't know, he knows what he's doing.
And everybody around us, top to bottom in that roster, is going to be good and contribute. And that's, I think, the importance of these two kids doing well this year. It's not going to be the determining factor, but it's going to send a signal that, hey, we know what we're doing here.
Well, it's a great point, and we've seen it in the past in recent years. When the Clippers and the Lakers are both good, much like when the Sixers and the Celtics and the Knicks are good, it's just better for the NBA. And
yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. When you have the second largest market in the country as a viable option, I think it's great. The interesting part was the last several years, the Clippers were a viable option with Lob City, with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, and the Lakers weren't. They had the worst 5-year stretch of their history. But kudos to both squads. They've been able to remake this, and the Clippers will potentially be able to remake this even faster than the Lakers could.
Sam Cassell scoring. And it's still an 18-point game as we see West and his father, who's an assistant coach with the Clippers.
The other part of it, too, guys, is, Fran, you mentioned some of the young assets, or Alvaro, you mentioned some of the young assets in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson. If they turn into those assets, the Lakers have those right now. Brandon Ingram has made big strides this past season. If you look at his comparables, I mean, he's got a better second season than Paul George. They love Kyle Kuzma over there. That kid's got tons of leadership quality. Fran, I know you got a chance to see him when he was at Utah.
Yes.
Lonzo Ball, look, I think he had an injury-riddled season, but the second half of the season was a lot better for him, and I do feel like he can be an asset or someone that they can still feel like they can keep long-term. So both teams headed in the right direction.
And the aforementioned Josh Hart as well.
Yes. But if you pick 12th and 13th, as they did with Gilgeous-Alexander and Robinson, and not at the very top of the draft, like with Lonzo Ball or Ingram, I mean, I think the great discovery with the Lakers was Kuzma.
Yes, no doubt
that
about it.
That was just an unbelievable find.
What a year he had as a rookie. And, of course, Josh Hart, I know
Hart
I keep
as well.
mentioning him. I'm a Villanova lover, but both of those guys were impressive last year. What's interesting about the league, 31 guys, rookies, played over 500 minutes, and that's the most since the merger in '77. Think about that. How many good rookies were in the league last year?
Sam Cassell looking for another three. Oh, long-range shot, last second shot, and that is the end of three. The 28 Los Angeles Clipper lead, but Washington ended the quarter on a 10-0 run. We'll be back with the fourth quarter. NBA Store will replace the jersey for free of any player who changes teams within 90 days of purchase. Have an American Express card? Use it and get covered in jersey for a full year. That's a deal.
Dwight Howard's fans got to love that, because they'd have 5 jerseys by now.
Timothy Mozgov's.
Yeah, absolutely. He's bounced around, but he's made great money.
Now, what about, see, if they really want to push it, they should have that guarantee on trade possibilities. Where's Carmelo going to go, right?
It's going to be very interesting what Oklahoma City does, because that tax bill on the luxury tax is enormous.
It is enormous. And remember, they moved out of Seattle because they felt they were cash-strapped to rebuild an arena or construct a new arena. Key Arena, by the way, will be ready, I believe, for the 2020-2021 season.
I'm a huge Seattle Sonics fan because of the great tradition there. If you were going to put an NBA franchise in the next city, for you, would it be Seattle or would it be Las Vegas?
Seattle.
Even though the Golden Knights and the NHL have been such a great great story and supports here, the great arena.
There's absolutely nothing wrong here. This is a natural market for basketball. But if you want to activate a market that has some significant
history,
Fortune 500 companies, and to boot a history.
Great point.
And some wealth. It's just, and again, nothing against Vegas. And I think Vegas, it's not a consolation prize. You've got basketball going on here year-round. It's really beginning to threaten Los Angeles as a place to go to train in the summer, to live.
Yep.
DeMarcus Cousins lived here. Lives here now.
No state income tax.
That helps.
State of Nevada.
That helps.
Yep. I love the old. I remember seeing Kevin Durant as a rookie in Key Arena. Great tradition. Lenny Wilkins and the Supersonics, and you see Ryan Richmond. There's the Summer League is about so many things. Young guys getting a chance, not only as players, but Ryan has worked his way up from video coordinator.
2 years doing that.
Yep.
Then 3 years doing player development.
Yeah, and he's a head coach, and trust me, these guys take it seriously. They get a chance to win games and show people that they can X and O. Draw up plays out of timeouts. It's good for their career.
He has been instrumental in developing Bradley Beal and Otto Porter over the past couple of seasons. He's a young guy, of course. Played 1 season at Skidmore College and then transferred to Maryland, became a scout player for the women's basketball team. He also did scouting and film for the women's basketball team. Harris. That's Tobias Harris' brother, Tyler.
Tyler Harris, who finished his career at Auburn. He started Rand McNally style, NC State, then Providence, and then down south in the SEC with Bruce Pearl. Of course, Tobias came to the Clippers in that trade for Blake Griffin with the Pistons, and Tobias, I think, is another one of those young players who's right at the beginning of the prime of his career, who is a natural-born scorer.
Played for the Windy City Bulls last year, 13.6 boards. Only 9% from behind the arc, not a long-range shooter. As we see Juwan Evans and Jerome Robinson. Robinson so far, 3 or 4 behind the arc. One of 4 players, 4 starters in double figures. Contact and a quick foul. Oh, no, the foul's offensive foul on Thornwell. He screened Val Moore.
Number 7, Devin Robinson returns for Washington.
Two junkyard dogs right here, Aaron Harrison and Sindarius Thornwell. And Aaron Harrison played at Kentucky with his twin brother,
Andrew.
Yeah. And all Sindarius did was help Frank Martin get to the Final Four. Both of those guys played in the Final Four.
That was a great run.
Yeah.
That's brother is watching brother.
Yeah.
That's Andrew.
Out of the Houston area. You know, that's the frustrating thing when you watch them. Like, for example, I'll use the Harrisons. High school All-Americans, good college players, and both of those guys just trying to find a steady job in the league. And you'd say to yourself, like 6, 7, 8 years ago, oh, they're definitely going to play in the league. And this league is so unforgiving. It's what I call basketball Darwinism. Survival of the fittest. It doesn't matter where you were ranked in high school or college. When you step on an NBA court, the truth is on the court.
Devin Robinson to the line, shooting 2.
Two good, hard-nosed college players for John Calipari. A lot of success.
Angel Delgado.
Yeah, we're going to watch Trey Von Duval in the next game.
Yes.
Playing for the Houston Rockets, and it was just 12 months ago that he was on campus at Duke as one of the top 10 high school players in the country, Alvaro, and was not drafted in the first round.
And then he's here.
Now he's here.
12 months.
12 months later, just trying to get a job. It's a good job, by the way, if you can get it. Oh, that's a foul.
And a block by Moore. Ooh, left-handed shot. Robinson cannot connect. Whoa, quick shot by Gilgeous-Alexander and an assist by Delgado.
That's going to be a big reason why he has success in the NBA. He's going to have to make that shot.
A strip by Thornwell.
Watch his head. What's he see?
Everything. He went over to celebrate the basket. He went on defense already thinking, that's a made basket. As he deflects the ball out of bounds.
Offensive rebound. Shea shot a good number from behind the arc at Kentucky, but in a small sample size. Hadn't had to Same success out here, but he's happy about that one.
Delgado working on a double-double. He's got the 12 points. Nice shot by Harrison in rhythm. Seen that before, says Andrew.
Yep. Aaron played a lot of minutes for the Mavericks at the end of last season.
Going left again. Upshaw, a man on the spot. Ooh, you cannot. Access denied. Cassell just cannot convert, but Sam has been very active and has been part of that run by Washington. Now down 16 as you see a quick foul by Devin Robinson.
Foul is on the Clippers for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That is
No, the foul's on Shea Gilgeous.
Fourth team foul. Number 33, Chris Chiozza.
Chiozza's back in.
Both return for
Moore
the
will take a
Wizards.
seat. Cassell will seat as well.
Rodriguez returns for the Clippers.
And Bryant's back in for the Wizards. Now, you mentioned the expansion Las Vegas hockey team that made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. What happens in Washington now that the Capitals won?
They want.
What happens to the Wizards?
They want the Wizards to do what they did back in the late 70s and win another championship. Great sports town. The district.
Now with the Capital Go-Go's as their new G League team.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by the DQ Summer Blizzard Menu for a limited time at participating locations. And one a day with Nature's Medley.
We're back, 16-point lead. Make it 15 now with the Troy Brown free throw. Washington is on a 19-5 run after they were down 28 to the Clippers.
These two guys went head-to-head in the SEC. Chiozza and Gilgeous-Alexander, Kentucky and Florida.
Upshaw with a notion of a three-pointer, but there was time on the clock. Now there isn't. Desi, nice close by Robinson.
Got to have a comeback offense when you're down 14 and get good quick shots. Can't hold the ball long.
Bryant, left-handed.
Foul on the backcourt.
Fouls on Harrison.
Rules in the playoffs, 10-team fouls before we get to the bonus. You do foul out on the 6th personal foul, unlike the preliminary round where they give you 10 personal fouls.
By the way, I've noticed that Gilgeous-Alexander, being slender, being slim, uses that to his advantage. Oh, what a move. All the way, the fake, the drive, and the basket by Devin Robinson. From the corner, he's got 24 points. He's... Jerome. 6 to shoot. Here we go.
Yep, got to play fast. Oh, nice pass.
And using the rim as his friend. He's got 26, and it's a full-blown comeback. It's a 10-point game. They were down 28.
Oh, yeah, the young guys. First, Devin Robinson trying to find a job, and he's doing a good job of it. And this is why Troy Brown Jr. was drafted. Playmaking ability off the one-hand pass.
I have to say, Ma, take me over to Thomas and Mack. I want to see the Cavaliers and the Kings as we see Colin Sexton at the line. He's got 16 points, 6 of 10 shooting. His team is up by 9. And you're talking about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and how he's not the fastest guy. Can you be too fast?
You can.
As in Colin Sexton.
Well, in his case, absolutely. He's got incredible athleticism end-to-end. You know, been compared to guys like Russell Westbrook, Dame Lillard, and no doubt about it. And he played for an great NBA point guard, Avery Johnson, and Colin Sexton. I'd rather be able to slow a fast guy down and then try to speed a slow guy up to make him faster.
Brown with a tough basket against Robinson. And it's now a 25-5 run by the Wizards.
And what you love about this is they've never given up. Again, why? Not only are they in the playoffs here in the Summer League, but every one of these guys wants to prove they can play at this level.
You will play at least 5 games, with 3 in the opening round and 2 in this knockout round. You can also end up, if you advance, playing up to 8 games. And we've seen it all here. We saw Minnesota a couple of years ago lose the first 3 games, come in as one of the lowest ranked teams. As a matter of fact, I think they were the lowest, and they made it to the final game. Chicago beat them.
Remember that.
By the way, we did that Cleveland-Indiana game, Colin Sexton. The slow motion, there was a slow motion move, which he sidestepped and then scored.
Yes.
His slow motion looked fast.
Yeah, no,
Everybody else looked glacial next to him. Nice cut, but he cannot finish with the dunk. Could have laid it in.
The other thing about Colin Sexton that's going to help him in the NBA is he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Ooh, that's got to be something.
Contact. Upshaw from the corner, it's in. And boy, they needed those points now. It's a 13-point lead.
And now the Wizards got to play. They got to continue to play fast now if they want to try to get back in this game.
Chiosa into Delgado, who deflects.
Got numbers. See if they can make this work right here.
Alley-oop. We're going open. Nah, we just drop it over. And a quick timeout by Ryan Richmond. They came so close, and now the Clippers respond with a 5-0 run to get up by 15. The Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Brooklyn and Houston coming up next. Detroit, Minnesota. Toronto, Denver at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, and Las Vegas.
And Detroit under new coach Dwayne Casey, coach of the year, won 59 games, and he gets a chance to restart his career right there in the Motor City where they have just incredible tradition. And I think a pretty good, we talked about the East and we talked about the teams that we know are going to be at the top like the Sixers and the Celtics, but you look at the Pistons with a healthy Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, who's starting to come into his own, and then Blake Griffin, and that's a good, solid trio to build those young guys around. Guys like Luke Kennard who can shoot the ball, and some other good young players.
You know they'll be playing defense under Dwayne Casey as well.
No doubt.
2 minutes to go in the fourth. As we take a look at the brackets, remember, the first 3 games only helped you to get yourself started and get some kind of a record. Then they line you up with tiebreakers. The winner here will face the Lakers, who had a bye. Chicago will face Dallas. The winner there will face that Detroit-Minnesota winner. These games are mostly on ESPN, also on NBA TV. The Laker against either the Clippers or the Wizards will be on Thursday at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2, also on the ESPN app. That's the beauty of it, the ESPN app.
Oh, man. Been on that app all summer. Watch some FIBA stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
You have to charge that phone.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the TBT, the basketball tournament, which is every game is being televised on an ESPN platform somewhere, and then, of course, Summer League basketball.
Uh-oh, we have a gimpy player. It's Jerome Robinson.
He's still hobbling.
Yep. Favoring that left leg as well. Remember, we have Vince Hunter. We heard George tell us that Vince Hunter tweaked that left knee, and now they finally call a timeout, and he's grimacing. It's a knee. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah.
In the middle of the screen.
One thing you don't want to do right now if you're the Clippers is take any chances.
He reached for his right knee.
Yeah. Tried to commit a foul to stop the clock, and he ended up getting fouled. But Casey Hill got him out of the game, so they'll put a free throw shooter in for him. And there you see the Boston College Eagle. Had no major college offers coming out of high school. Jimmy Christian and his crack staff found him. Wasn't even ranked in the top 200. But 3 great seasons at Boston College, culminating with a first-team All-ACC berth. And they're working on that right knee as we watch.
And George Sedano's a little closer than we are. George, what do you see?
It looks like Jerome Robinson's being worked on by the trainers. They're working on his right knee. They're just trying to see and test the flexibility of it right now. That seems to be the case at the moment. No determination yet on his future for the rest of the tournament, potentially, obviously. But they're trying to check him out and make sure that right leg is okay.
But I remember, George, how quickly they took Vince to the locker room. This time they're doing something here at the arena, and then we'll see if he stays or not. Probably not. He's still grimacing.
Number 47, Jalen Johnson returns for the Clippers.
So the Clippers sub for him. They bring in Jalen Johnson. Johnson grabs the ball and he kicks it out of bounds. Nice hustle again. Once again by Devin Robinson, your friend.
Absolutely. Got a choice of going and get a real job or play in the NBA.
No-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Play hard. Play hard. Play within yourself. Remember what I said earlier? This is Doug Collins. Know your role. Stay in your role. Star in your role. Make a lot of money that way.
Watch out. Could have a little backcourt here, but no, he didn't. But he threw the ball away anyway. The ball's deflected. The intention was good. The execution was not. Johnson with the contortion to find the angle.
Yep. Snuck it right in under Thomas Bryant.
Johnson very active on defense as well.
Nice pass. Remember those early turnovers by Chiozza? That was not really the way he's played here. I don't know if he's going to stick with the G League team or not, but he could find himself a good job playing overseas, making good money.
He's got 5 assists right now.
Yep. And a guy like him, you know, Alvaro, we talked about the G League team that the Wizards will have right there in the city. Well, I mentioned this earlier. You got to have a really good summer league point guard and a really good G League point guard. And then maybe they play themselves into an NBA player in time. And a perfect example is a few years ago, there was some kid here from Arizona that averaged 3.5 points a game.
Oh, I remember.
And I think his name is TJ McConnell.
Yes.
And so prove yourself out here that you can be a reliable playmaker. Coach on the floor.
He was. That's what he was.
That's what he is.
Yeah. Less than a minute to go in the fourth. Upshot's wide open, but he doesn't want to shoot at this point. Clock is more important. And that was a stroll through the park.
That's exactly right. You couldn't have said that any better because he was just strolling.
Chiozza with the 3.
Well, the Clippers advance.
Yeah, they're just burning off the seconds here as the Clippers will advance. They were 1-2. Both teams were 1-2 in the early round. The Clippers will now advance, and they will face their co-renters, the LA Lakers. 89-74, the Clippers beat the Wizards by 15, and it looks, at least right now, like Jerome Robinson is walking. As we take a look at the brackets, they will face each other at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And again, you can always see every one of these games on the ESPN app as well, so you will not miss any of this. For the Washington Wizards, a gallant effort to come back. They were down 28. They went on a nice run. They closed it down to 10, but then there was a reaction by the Clippers.
Yeah, Clippers were solid. They really were. It started with the backcourt, and you love what this young guy, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, did. He's done it all week here. He just plays at a nice rhythm. He knows how to play fast. He can play slow, but you do not speed him up. He does what he needs to do on the court, and another impressive performance. And if you're the LA Clippers. You gotta love it.
And again, he doesn't put himself on spots on the court that get him in trouble. He chooses to be in the middle section of the court, have the defense guard both sides. He knows what he's doing.
And he's got good size, so he sees over smaller players. Very impressive.
And talk about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. George Sedano's with him right now. George.
Thanks, Alvaro. Shea, another great game by you. How much more comfortable are you getting out here after all these games?
I'm getting more comfortable each and every game. I feel like we got to a really good start today. And then towards the end, we got a little sluggish and lackadaisical because of the lead, but we got to fix that up and clean it up for next game if we want to win.
What did you do to close this one out?
Really, the whole game, it was just our stops and playing with that energy defensively. Once we do that, we know we can play with anybody.
You and Jerome had been playing pretty well when you've been in the lineup. Obviously, he got a little dinged up there at the end. Hopefully, he's okay.
Yeah.
But what about the chemistry between you two? How do you feel together?
I feel like we both complement each other really well. With his ability to space the floor, my ability to get into the lane. And the more we play together and the more we're around each other on and off the court, we'll get better and better at it, and we should be special pretty soon.
Shea, thanks so much. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you.
Yet another talent from Canada, now in the NBA. And now the Clippers advance, beating the Wizards 89-74. They will face the Lakers on Thursday. But coming up next, the Nets and the Rockets will be on the U. For Fran and George, this is Alvaro. We'll see you soon.